Welcome to Protect, Suicide Prevention Training Podcast for Healthcare Professionals. I'm Manan, Consultant Psychiatrist, Founder, and Head of Faculty at Progress Guide. Good day. I would like to thank Fode Sar and the team at APAS and the Global Skills Hub for the opportunity to be presenting at the first African Health Summit. It is a real privilege to be addressing a gathering of people so committed to transform mental health at the workplace. I'm joining you from Brisbane, Australia, or in the language of the First Nations people in Australia, Mianjin. I am on the lands of the Accra and the Turrbal people, and I would like to pay my respect to them. My goal today is to introduce you to HOPE, a guided self-help program that has been delivered from an evidence-based psychological treatment called ACT, Acceptance and Commitment Therapy. You can use this to develop your personal well-being and resilience plan, and HOPE will also come in handy when you have to dig deep, when you need strength to push through tough times. I'm hopeful that this will help you build resilience, not just in the workplace, but also in your personal life. The best way to follow along is to download the Safe Life Guide from the App Store or the Play Store. The QR codes on the screen will take you straight to the app. I will highly recommend doing this now, as my talk will make a lot more sense if you have got the app on the phone and you are following along. So this QR code will be there at certain points during the presentation, but also you can go to the App Store or the Play Store, whichever type of mobile you're using, and type in Safe Life Guide. It will be the one with the two flames. That's what you're looking for. HOPE comes from the Protect framework for suicide prevention, in which we use resilience building as a strategy to consolidate growth and recovery. I'm really hopeful that today's talk will open the route to partnerships across Africa in the suicide prevention space too. And the easiest way to connect up with myself will be on LinkedIn. If you have got the Protect guidebook or the workbook, chapter 17 is the chapter which relates to HOPE in that particular framework. So if you haven't downloaded the app, here are the QR codes again. Please do so now. As I said, it will make a lot more sense to follow along. So when you do download the app, you will be asked to sign in and make a choice between what you want for the app. So you will be taken through, if you're a professional, of course, you'll be taken through to the professional account. Just scroll to the bottom of that and you will find a free account that you can create. And essentially, you will have access to most of the content that your patients will have access to. And that's what you need, at least for the purposes of this talk and for understanding the HOPE framework. Also, when you get to a point where you have to make a selection, so when you log in for the first time, you get a choice. If you choose your priority to stay resilient, then the HOPE view opens up. If your priority is safety, then the safe view opens up. Of course, you can toggle between the HOPE view and the safe view at any time. So that toggle button at the top, when you touch that, the options open up at the bottom of the screen and you can just go from the HOPE view to safe view. The HOPE view will systematically help you work your way through what helps or harms, a values clarification exercise that will kind of take you through the different life domains, then a values alignment exercise to underpin your life goals, and finally breaking down life goals into smaller and simpler values-aligned actions to enact and reflect on. So the reflection will take you through to the journal viewer, and these are just some of the pragmatics that I'm talking through that you will get on the app. The HOPE view is pre-populated with content just to provide some examples and make it easier for you to fill in. Once you hit an edit button, you can personalize the content. Like in this particular example, you can change the name of the person. You will, of course, find videos all along, and you can follow through on the videos, and they will provide the theoretical concepts at the heart of hope, as well as practical guidance on what to fill in and how to fill in. You can also personalize the image. I think this is an older version of the images that you're seeing. So there would be 3 dots on the top right corner. If you select that, you can change the image to people and pursuits that are meaningful to you. Remember, a picture speaks 1,000 words. So clicking on the information icon will open up top tips. They will guide you all along the way. Our recommendation, though, is to watch the videos, particularly the first time around, but later on, if you wanted to remind yourself, the top tips provides a quick refresher of the key concepts. So now that we've gone over some of the pragmatics regarding the app, we've got that out of the way. So I'd like to provide you with an introduction to hope and the role of acceptance in overcoming anxiety. So normally, that's what we would spend a lot of time on as laying the foundation. And again, another reminder, download the app, much easier with the app with you as I go through the next steps. So let's dive in. Now, if you look at a 24-hour clock, you will realize that of all the hours that you are awake, the lion's share is spent at work. At home, the largest chunk of time is spent in bed, asleep. For most of us, work is central to our identity and our life's goals. However, I hasten to add that each life domain is important in its own right, and they all interact. For example, if you don't sleep well at home, forget resilience at work. If your loving relationships are falling apart, being productive at work will be a far stretch. If your health is failing, work is the least of your worries. And of course, all work and no play, we know, makes Jack a dull boy. So in the Hope Framework, you will go through 4 simple steps. As I mentioned, you will be asking yourself what helps and what harms, what doesn't help. You will spend time identifying your values, the qualities you want to bring to your actions. You will think through the people and pursuits who matter to you, and the people who matter to you and the pursuits that make life worth living, meaningful pursuits in your life, and relate them to values, and then take small steps to live your life in keeping with your values while you pursue your life goals. So this is a very, very quick summary of what we would do in a whole day workshop, right? We will normally spend an hour on each section. So in brief, as a foundation, as I mentioned, for the Hope Framework, we make the case for acceptance. So reality is what it is, and seeing it for what it is and making room for acceptance provides grounding and clarity regarding what next. In the first of the 4 steps of hope, you will be introduced to what we call the magic question. It is simple but effective. We want you to have clarity on what helps and what harms. But prior to this, we'll do a lot of work, normally in the one-day workshop, on the role of acceptance and getting this absolutely impregnated in your mind that reality is what it is, and denying reality is like a cloud that surrounds the problem that you're dealing with at the moment. But making room for acceptance actually make it easier to deal with it. Acceptance does not mean giving up or giving in. It actually is the pathway to action. So when faced with adversity, we take actions to navigate the difficult times, right? Put simply, these actions could take us towards the person we want to be or away from the person we want to be. There is an element of choice in terms of which actions we take. However, if the adversity overwhelms us, we lose all sense of agency. And it is not uncommon for the choice to become an automatic reaction to the stress one is dealing with. In the Hope Framework, we learn strategies to keep our choices conscious and alive, an active process rather than a passive one in which adversity leads us down a path away from the light and further into the darkness. The stressful work scenario is real, okay? As we said at the beginning, reality is what it is. But by keeping the process active, we want to make conscious choices. So we need to move from unconscious stress reactions to conscious stress responses. So we will spend over an hour talking through what helps and what harms. And essentially, this is the diagram we arrive at. Challenging scenarios, a challenging situation, there's an action appraisal, and you could take actions that help or take actions that harm. Okay. So we spend a lot of time on these little blobs using case studies to reflect on past actions and plan for future actions. When you pull all of that together into a single action appraisal image, you can see how you can reflect on the past or plan for the future by looking at your current work challenges. Ask yourself, when faced by a challenging scenario, the actions I will take or the actions I have taken, did they help or harm? Did they take me towards the person I want to be, or did they take me away from the person I want to be? As we go through the HOPE framework, we will reframe the actions that take us away as pain-guided desperate measures, and actions that take me towards the person I want to be, actions that help, as values-guided committed action. Okay? So actions that help are very different to actions that harm. We also spend a lot of time understanding actions appraisal in a fair bit of detail to get across this idea that, things that might feel helpful in the short term are actually not so helpful in the longer term as well. So that kind of is the first step in the HOPE framework. And then we capture the top 2 helpful and harmful actions in the app as a reminder of what to do and not to do. So actions that help, actions that harm, hinder, hurt. These kind of green and pink cards, they're like flip cards. On one side is the action, on the other side is the consequence. So it's a very quick reminder. So why should we do it? There are many benefits of this exercise. Firstly, you enhance your self-awareness. Managing yourself at work is a crucial first step to managing others. This is particularly relevant if you have line management responsibilities at work. And even if you don't, knowing what helps and what harms, it's crucial. The exercise also helps you identify challenging work scenarios early and navigate them better. If you have leadership responsibilities, your job is to see more and see before. And the magic question certainly helps you do this. It also makes for more effective communication at work. One of the most common things that hinder people's progress at work is poorly thought through emotional communication. And just that simple flashcard on your app, this might help you pause and think before you speak your mind. And of course, all of that when combined, these are really simple but effective strategies for personal as well as team well-being. So really recommend doing this step. You can do that individually, but you can also do it in a team as well. What helps you be the person you want to be? What takes you away from the person you want to be? What helps? What harms? What hurts? What hinders? Okay. So that's step 1 in HOPE. In the second step of the HOPE framework, we will dive into values. What are values? How are values different from life goals and actions? And why do we need them? We will also discuss the 4 domains of life and what might be the most important values for you in each domain. So, okay, now in a really quick glimpse of what we will do, this would be an hour and a half exercise in the workshop. So, just to help you understand the difference between values, goals, and actions. Let's imagine a direction of travel. as, for example, say traveling east. So let's think I am in London, and from London, I'm flying to Paris, Moscow, Delhi, Tokyo, LA, New York, London, Paris. And it goes on. There is no end to east. Wherever one is, there is more east. So values are a bit like that. Traveling east, it's endless. A goal, on the other hand, is a destination. It's like getting to Paris. They can be ticked off a list, right? It's like getting married, getting the corner office. They can be ticked off a list. Actions are steps taken to reach the destination. Like in order to get to Paris, it will involve buying tickets to travel, booking time off work, packing a suitcase, getting to the airport, and so on. So wherever one is, there is more east to go. So living by one's values, as for example, kindness, respect, curiosity, is like living with a direction of travel in mind. Reaching a destination does not bring an end to the journey, only new beginnings. When one is traveling in a direction, i.e. living by certain values, the destinations that you will reach will be very different to the destinations in another direction. Whatever be the domain, work, leisure, love, health, values guide the way in which we reach our destination. Values guided committed decisions and actions, some small, some big, help us reach our goals. Some goals may be distant, perhaps unreachable, but the value can still be lived in the here and now, resulting in a life that feels meaningful. And if you think about it, values are the qualities I want to bring to my actions. And in this section, when we are doing it in the workshop, we really dive into establishing what are your core values, your personal core values, because they are central to staying resilient. So here are some pointers which might help you discover, your personal values. Ask, what are the qualities I want to embody in the way I interact with myself and others in the world around me? Is it courage, discipline, dignity? Is it gratitude, humility, respect? What kind of mother, father, brother, sister, son, daughter, spouse, friend, colleague do I want to be? Is it love, kindness, compassion, or is it commitment, challenge, empowerment? What do I want to model for others in life? Is it justice, fairness, equity? Values inspire us to take action, pursue goals, gives us the motivation to do the hard yards when life gets tough. Values, they infuse our life with meaning and purpose. So if we want our life to be meaningful and purposeful, we need to know what our values are and let those values guide us. So we spent time doing the values clarification exercise, finding a value that cuts across all domains may be quite difficult. So pick a life domain and, narrow it down further. For example, if you picked work, there may be 4 or 5 values that seem important from the list, like, say, accomplishment, authenticity, sincerity, humor, etc. But if you could narrow it down to something as specific as, for example, customer service, and you may arrive at your top 2, like, patience or helpfulness. You can print out a list and go through a process of ticking the values that are important, then putting a second tick to shorten the list, and a third one if need be. If you're doing it straight on the app, when you start typing in a value, predictive text will help you make your selection. So we'll spend a lot of time doing this values clarification exercise. And you can repeat it over and over for each of the life domains. And remember, all these life domains that interact. So whatever's going on at home has an impact on work. Whatever's going on in relationships, at leisure, it has an impact on work. So we do it across all the domains. And when you are done, your key value in a specific life domain, that will display as a flashcard. When you touch them, it will flip over to provide a description of the value. So it's a quick reminder to let your values guide you. So knowing your values is central to building resilience at work. They may be crucial in resolving conflicts. People may have taken different positions on an issue, but they may have shared values like respect, sincerity, honesty. And they may help, these values might help, these shared values might help resolve energy sapping conflict at work. Values might also provide you a reason when the going is tough and you're feeling overwhelmed. And also the inverse is true when monotonous, repetitive work is causing what we call rust out. So at one extreme is burnout, the other extreme is rust out. Values might remind you as to how your role helps or how this work is providing a path to your longer term goals. And finally, perhaps one of the most important things is decision making. It improves many folds when you underpin your decisions with values, not just logic and reason, not just feeling or emotions, but with values. So lots of reasons how this exercise, the values clarification exercise, helps with resilience in the workplace. In the third step of hope, we will explore what truly matters to you and how underpinning them with values can create resilience and fortitude, particularly when things go wrong. So in the resilience workshop, we spend a lot of time on ikigai. It's a Japanese concept, which is the sweet spot between what the world needs, what you love doing, so you're passionate about, what you're good at, and what you get paid for. And we work it out at an individual level and how it aligns with your organization's vision and mission. So we will use case studies and examples to pin down people and purpose. So on the app, so when you kind of say select people or pursuits, as the case may be, in your different life domains. So at work, it may be your partner, your line manager, or your personal assistant. In your family, it may be your parents, spouse, or children. There may be specific friends under the domain of leisure, like your dancing partner, your golf, or your fishing buddy. And under health, it may be your family doctor or your personal trainer. Pick a life domain and kind of pick one person, right? Pick a person. And then kind of you really want to answer the question, why is this really important to me? Because during challenging times, relationships often come under strain, and two sentences highlighting why this person is important may remind you not to sweat the small stuff and focus on the value that is important. Okay, so that you want to embody that in that relationship. So you can repeat the exercise for other important people in your life. And same with pursuits, though, life pursuits. They might be slightly trickier, but follow the same process. If you put your mind to it, you will be able to come up with very specific examples of hopes, desires, and aspirations that you have. Some goals are more concrete than others. For example, completing a degree or going on a driving holiday with friends from university. Some may be broader, like finding love or maintaining a good health. Of course, that could be more specific, like getting married to the person I love or losing 15 kilograms or getting into shape. Pursuits, just like people, vary based on where one is in life. They may relate to age or family or career trajectory. So spend some time thinking of each life domain and pin down the most important goal in that domain. So in certain domains, you may not have a well-formulated life goal. That's okay. Spend time on the ones that you are currently working on or intend to work on soon. Okay, capture the importance of why is this. Have clarity about this. Most life goals need significant effort and commitment, and it is important for you to know your why and then pick up the most important value that you want to live when pursuing this goal. So here is a specific example. Okay, so let's kind of think about a young man who has worked extremely hard, right? Absolutely sweating it to save every single penny he can. His goal is to save up enough for a deposit so that he can get on the property ladder. He's living with his parents, being extremely frugal, working hard, tracking the property market, investing well. All of these actions are underpinned by the value of independence. I think everyone knows how difficult it is for young people to get on the property ladder. But even when the goal seems unachievable, this young person is taking actions in line with the value of independence. And even if the stock market crashes and he's unable to muster up the deposit, so one may have temporarily failed in their life goal, but it is much easier to get up or land on one's feet if the goal was underpinned by a value to begin with. On the app, when you complete this section, what matters to you and which values underpin this will be displayed in this section. Remember to personalize the image, as an image can speak 1,000 words. Doing this will keep you connected with your purpose, your ikigai, your reason for being. Underpinning life goals with values provides a positive mindset, makes it easier to get up after things have fallen apart. You go back to living your value without worrying about the goal. You're also pinning down the people who really matter and will support you through your challenges at work. And last but not the least, having guiding values makes it easier to adapt to change, particularly if you are unable to grasp the change, but at the same time, you get the value that is driving that change. And you can see from a work perspective how central the people and pursuits exercise is to building resilience. Okay, now on to the final stretch. The final section, hope, is enact and evaluate. Here, we'll look at breaking up values-aligned goals into values-aligned actions, as well as a simple strategy of continuous reflection that we call hansei in Japanese, as how we are traveling in terms of living our values on a day-to-day basis. We talk about a very effective strategy as, creating an artificial time capsules. It begins with actions that can be taken in the here and now, actions today. Then there are actions that are taken over the coming days to chip away, maybe at the source of your troubles at work or to lay the foundation of a longer-term goal. This is followed by actions over the coming weeks, months, and even years, right? So in summary, actions can be immediate, short, medium, and longer term. This approach helps a person live their values the entire journey and not just at the completion or achievement of a life goal. So we spend a lot of time helping you understand how to make tasks small or simpler so that the likelihood of task completion is increased. It's a strategy that we call 7+. Of course, before judging the likelihood of an action being enacted, it is important that you make it as specific as possible in terms of what you will do. And pick actions that you're likely to do. Ask yourself, on a scale of 0 to 10, where 10 means I will definitely not do this, no matter what, and 0 means there is no way I am ever going to do this, and 5 means it's 50-50 whether I do this or not. How likely is it that I will actually do this? If you score yourself above 7, that's ideal. If you score 7 or below, that doesn't bode well for success. So you need to come up with a smaller, simpler, easier action. Keep scaling the action down until you can score at least 8. So if fitness is an important value for you and you have set yourself a goal of losing, say, 15 kilograms, in 6 months, you can set yourself unrealistic goals like starting in a gym, kind of going there 3 times a week. But that will be completely unrealistic. Maybe all that you can achieve is finding your yoga mat. It's much better to complete a task than set yourself completely unrealistic goals. We also kind of look at, on the app, we also looked at the bullseye exercise. It was designed by Swedish act therapist Tobias Lundgren. It builds on this kind of values clarification and values alignment work that you have done using the HOPE framework so far on the app. It's quite simple in its makeup. Select a life domain, select a goal that you have in that life domain. For example, at work, you want to get promoted and become a manager. Underpinning that life goal is your desire to be sincere. Now, we would like you to think about all the ways in which you have shown your sincerity, genuineness, and honesty at work, say in the last week or today. Some of them will relate to the actions you listed you will take. Then you ask yourself, where do you stand today or this week in relation to the value of sincerity of work? Has that been reflected in all your actions, some of your actions, none of your actions? So 0 is outside the dartboard or on the outer rim, and 10 would be bullseye. So action followed by reflection is the recipe for growth. The Japanese concept of hansei, as I mentioned, it's a state of self-reflection or deep introspection, is quite relevant to this exercise. Making a judgment call on action completion, the extent to which a value was lived, followed by reflection on what worked well, and thinking about even better if. Okay, this can unlock latent potential. And all of this gets captured on the Hope View and the Reflective Journal. So by doing small, simple steps, you will build momentum. Your sphere of control will grow. Your sphere of influence will also grow. And this growth will eat into your sphere of concern. You will celebrate wins and acknowledge good news stories. And by embracing reflection, you will begin a journey of learning, continuous improvement, and growth. I'm aware I've condensed a one-day workshop into less than half an hour, but I'm hoping you will have gained something from it. My suggestion will be to listen to the Protect Suicide Prevention podcast, whether that be on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. I've just done a half a dozen episodes on the Hope Framework on the Protect podcast. So open Spotify or YouTube and type in Suicide Prevention Podcast or Progress Guide and follow it. Also, if you're looking for the slides or images, the best thing to do will be to go to Instagram and follow Progress Guide. You will find the images there. So Progress Guide on Instagram, follow us, you will find all the images there. Okay, if you're still not convinced as to why we need values, well, when the fog descends and you can't see ahead or the sandbank shift, values help us stay on course. In the midst of an emotional storm, values provide grounding and help us reconnect with our strengths. When a storm tips us into the water, values help us stay afloat and keep up the battle for survival. Values are like the sail that catch the wind and help us keep the momentum on the long road of life goals. Values guide us and give us a sense of direction. They anchor us amidst emotional turmoil and keep us safe and provide us the oomph to do the hard yards that life needs us to do. Values are at the heart of resilience. One more time, the best way to do this is to download the Safe Life Guide from the App Store or the Play Store. The QR codes are there again. Highly recommend you do this and do spread the word. We have kept all of this free so that people can benefit from it. The values that you discover through Hope will serve as the light of the lighthouse during a dark night and will be the wind in your sails during a bright day. I'm hopeful that I've been able to give you a flavor of our resilience workshop Hope, and you will be able to use the Hope section of the Safe Life Guide mobile application as a guided self-help for resilience building, not just at work, but also in your personal life. Thank you very much for this opportunity.